The next question is more of an ethical question where one of our participants was asking that supposedly there are significantly huge negative impacts and you can attribute them to UNICEF programs. What do you do in that instance? And closely related to that, I suppose, is a question which is how to manage politics, especially when the findings are not palatable to management or government officials and so on. So what would be your advice in response to that? And for those of you listening, again, this is Patricia's opinion. This is not necessarily the UNICEF standpoint on this. We do have some ethical guidelines which we can share with you later on.
Sure. A lot of this is about being forewarned, and you know the reason there's ethical guidelines is to actually have some processes and procedures in place in case these things come up. And I mean, I think having political interference with findings is an ethical issue. So I think you're right to connect them. So part of it is, you know, your as part of doing your detailed plan for the evaluation, you should anticipate ethical issues. One of which would be, you know, what would you do if you found either negative effects or also serious wrongdoing? Sometimes, you know, you're not going in there as an auditor in terms of, you know, problems within implementation. But if you, what do you do if you find it? You can't just say, oh, that's not my job. You know, if you found serious, you know, issues going on. So you need to have a protocol of what will happen, who will report that to whom, and how you'll deal with it if you've promised confidentiality. Like if you go into a setting and as well as getting the information you find out about some serious wrongdoing, well, you have to have a process that you can follow that up without breaching the confidentiality that's there. And so to have anticipated those and have those processes in place is really important. And I think the transparency on this is also important. And that's where having it very clear, here's what success would look like. Here's the evidence that's being used. This is where this evidence is coming from, and not having surprises about that. And a lot of the participatory approaches, I think, are very helpful here because people are on board. They understand what would be considered a failure or a success. And so that can be quite transparent. You still have the problem sometimes that it's embarrassing. People can be filled with shame if something is not working, or it's either not working or it's actually causing harmful effects. And part of how people respond is defense. They have a defense behaviour, and so that they can try to kill the messenger. Just make it less credible to this sort of attack. So I think you also need to, again, have these experts have reviewed it. This is not someone's opinion. This is based on some evidence, and it's based on some agreed standards about what success looks like.
So next question. Yeah. Oh, do you have more to say on that?
Well, just one other thing. I think it's about the contracts. A lot of my work is in Australia, and the standard government contract gave government departments the ability to take a report that I'd written and change it and keep my name on it. And the university just said, we won't sign that contract, and we went back and forth for months until they changed that contract. No, that's just not a reasonable contract to have. And so sometimes it's even at the contracting stage you have to do it. So,